Good afternoon. This is the weekly broadcast of Ask Welfare Rights. My name is Maureen Taylor, and I'm honored to serve as the state chair of the Michigan Welfare Rights Organization and co-hosting this program here at this station. This afternoon or this evening, we're honored to have back in her chair I'm going to say co-chair, the chairman of the National Welfare Rights Union, who's been battling some health challenges, and she's winning. And so here is Marion Kramer, who's going to give everybody an official hello.
Good evening. It's good to be back. I want to remind you, because I know we have a lot to talk about, that you're listening to WHPR, and there is, where are the telephone? Well, I'll give them to you. There are 3 telephone numbers that you can call in on. Can we call in? You got to look at the.
No, you see them under the camera?
Yeah, I see it now. If you can pull out your computer or on your phone, the website is www. TV33 WHPR, and I hope .com. They know that. Maureen. Yeah, and we want you to call in and let's talk about what's going on around in our various communities and what have you. So again, the phone number is 313-868. Can we use that phone?
868-0342.
Yeah, and 313-868-0351 and 868-4336. Good luck. Call. Let's light up the phone lines. And today, Maureen.
Yeah, wow, you gonna have to say something about where you were today.
Well, yesterday I went and made sure that I went by the funeral home because when our
now, Marion, you starting in the middle. You gonna say?
I'm going.
Okay.
One of our past mayors and city council person, because he served as a city council person first. Lindsay Porter had passed away. Linda has been. He has been a fixture here in Highland Park. That young man can make you laugh, and he did try to do good for Highland Park. I remember when you first met Lindsay, and that was around the question of all of us had a meeting, and he made sure we had somewhere to meet, and he opened up the library and said, let the people come in the library. It was cold that night, around the water bills and what have you, around one Christmas, the Christmas Eve of that year. And he tried to do what he could to help us, to go to the next level of the water department. But he had problems even at that time with city council. But, Lindsay is going to be heavily missed, and we want to say to his family as well as to his beloved wife Pat that we all here for you. Give us a call should you need to talk or anything. That was some funeral of the day, Maureen.
I heard.
It was packed. They had it at Sacred Heart. Not Sacred Heart, at the Catholic church here that has been, one of the minister has purchased for his...
Is this at the Soul Harvest?
Yeah, Soul Harvest Ministry. And that, look, you couldn't hardly find a seat, and that's a huge church. It was nice people showed up. Lindsay grew up in Highland Park, and it's good to... that people showed up to pay their respects. So if you have anything you want to talk about, our Mayor Lindsay Porter, please call in.
868-034-20351 or 868-4336. I remember when Mayor Lindsay called you and told you stop by his office, and he had a list. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So he had a list of, and you trying to figure out a list of what, and he said just come on by. So I went with you, and that's the first time I had seen the list that he had of all of the houses in Highland Park that were either water was already off or slated to be turned off.
In the coldest
And,
part of
and
the year.
no, this was before that. Because we ended up setting up that meeting in December because he gave us that list. But if you recall, we drove over on Glendale. You remember that? We drove up and down some streets and got out of the car and knocked on some doors.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hot. And because we didn't believe what the list said. It was so many addresses and so many pages. And we went over and drove up and down some streets and knocked on some doors. And that's when we realized
That's
that this
serious.
water situation was so serious. And as we began to become more and more aware of how many people were off, how many people were slated to have water shut off. And remember, we could see hoses going from house to house and all this kind of stuff. So by December, he was prepared to have a meeting. And you remember who else was there? John Conyers.
Yeah, John Conyers came for
John
that.
Conyers was at that meeting as well. And he's the one that raised that slogan, turn the water on.
Turn
It
it
was
on.
cold that day. Lord, it was cold that day, but it was a bunch of people that came to the Highland Park Library, and every time I say the Highland Park Library, I choke up.
Yes.
When the library is closed, that's when you know
They gonna
that there's an
close the
assault coming on the city. That's the place where your information, where your books are, where your history is, and your knowledge. And I remember he opened up that place and opened up the auditorium so we could go up in there and have this meeting about why so many people in Highland Park were without water. And little did we know
that we
was
had
the
just discovered
beginning, accidentally falling into some mess.
several years of work in that
Yeah.
particular thing.
Yeah.
But, we really appreciate Lindsay.
Well, when I'm looking at some of his history, some of this I didn't know. Born in Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
Porter family moved to Highland Park in 1955. He attended Liberty Elementary School. Is that school still there? It's gone.
It's still there.
Liberty
I think-
Elementary School
I
still
think
open?
and it's not open. I don't know if it's open for.
I'm saying
No, it is not. I don't think it is.
Liberty Elementary School's closed. Got his high school diploma from Highland Park High School. That's closed.
Yes.
Continued his education at Lemoyne Owen College in Tennessee. That's open, but that's one of the historically black colleges that's under attack because it doesn't have money to keep going.
Mm-mm.
And let's see here. Says he was baptized at Vernon Chapel, African Methodist Episcopal Church. Is that church still open? Vernon Chapel?
I don't know.
I don't know. This is a history because it talks about some of the places he was and where he grew up and got his education. And a lot of those places are closed now. Isn't that something?
Uh-huh.
It's scary that could happen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Then I wanted you to comment, Marion. I don't know if you saw this. The young husband and wife and their almost 2-year-old baby, immigrants running from Guatemala, where gangs had already told the husband, "We're going to put your wife in service, and she gonna have to service these gang members." So they took off, and they get to the border, and they go to where they're supposed to go to get asylum, and they're told you got to wait 2 or 3 months. So the husband said, "Well, we not gonna be able to do that. Let's do this." It's a whole bunch of people going across the river, and
talking
you
about
can
them?
walk, and let's do that. And they got off in the water with the rest, and here come the currents. And he got the wife and the baby to the other side safely. And the little girl, hand slipped, however it happened. And the current came and took the little girl.
And her
And
father.
he jumped in the water to save her. And here, you can't fight those currents. We got a African American young man that died last night.
Yeah.
Right downtown, fell off just a quick thing and was gone into seaweed. But here's this other little young family. He trying to save this little girl, and he put the little girl up under his shirt so he could hold on to her in those rough currents. And he
Those
drowned,
currents
and the
get you.
little girl drowned too. And then their bodies washed up on the shore.
Did you see that?
And she still has. I tear up. She still has her arm around her dad's neck.
Uh-huh.
You know what? On the way here, D.L. Hughley is off the hook talking about the United States of America and the history of violence and the history of bad behavior against brown people, black people, poor white people, and if you're not rich, the kinds of things that happen to you. But I thought it was interesting, and I want to hear what you got to say.
That.
Well, wait. Let me ask the question. Folks are now saying that they object to showing the dead father and the dead baby on TV. That it's just too dramatic, and that we should not be exposed to that kind of horrific death on TV because it's traumatizing Americans, especially the children. What do you think about that?
I think those folks should turn their TV off and try to think if it was their children, if it was their father or something like that, they would want people to know what has happened. Maureen, is criminal, outright criminal what this country is doing to people. They don't, and people, how long have we said this over and over again? You're not needed to work? Bye. That's how it goes. Your whole family is to go. And now all this attack on immigrants, oh, wait a minute, people think, well, maybe they should have stayed where they came from.
I have an answer to that.
I said,
Why
well,
you think they're running?
Why you think they running? But, people should be helped with, the United States go to other countries and say, come to America and enjoy yourself. And when they get over here, they can't believe, they are horrified as to what is going on. I mean, if we don't do and stand up for the people at the border, excuse me, we're next, Maureen, and I'm not talking about because we black all the time. We're next. That they're steaming up to come after a lot of us. People better be aware how they open up their mouths and talk around here as far as not giving out a helping hand. If they had gone to Mexico, if that same person that you heard spoke like that had gone across the border into Mexico and was running, the people in Mexico would help them. It's just criminal how they are.
I tell you what I think. What I think is that those people that say they don't think it's right to show that picture, I think it is right.
Oh, it's
and I think
right
they ought to show it on every
day.
Every day, every hour, so that people can see what's going on in the name of the United States of America is this kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And when you ask the question, and there are people, I've heard preachers that are saying, we're not for all these immigrants coming.
Well, they're not
what's
preachers,
going to
Maureen.
happen is black folks and Latinos in this country
They're not
are
preachers.
going to lose our jobs.
They are not preachers.
Well, they believe themselves to be preachers,
They're some hypocrites.
But see, that's the comments and I hear it all the time. What about the people that are here? And there's no, and that goes into that argument, they don't need us anymore. And so therefore, if you follow that line of thinking, then you don't want other people to come into your country because then the few food stamps that you might get or the benefits of the resources that may be open and available to the folks that are here are going to be stretched.
But see, they
You know,
don't, you know, Maureen, those
heck of a
people,
way to think, isn't it?
yeah, they don't go, they read the front page of the paper and the sports. And that's it. And they probably all day long on the weekend looking at sports channels and that type of stuff. If something happened to someone, one of their families,
They don't care nothing about that,
they
man.
they will be looking out for some help for people to come and help them. You know, when people come into welfare rights and they're not eligible for certain things at the Department of Health and Human Services, and we tell them why, show them the policy, and take them through there, and we try to set up. We just don't stop. We be trying to set up
Find another
something
way of helping 'em.
to help them. They say, well, what about all these immigrants and all this, that, and they get stuff.
And immigrants are
and
getting money, and refugees
they
get
whole
$7,000
family.
apiece.
See,
That's not true.
those don't do no investigation, don't have the right to speak. And
You can't
when
say
they-
that because that would mean a whole lot of people need to shut the hell up.
that's what I mean. They need to zip their lips. But they need to. We talk about this all the time. Who is the enemy? You got that man in the White House breaking every type of law it is.
And all of his friends.
Yeah, and at the same time making money off all our backs. I mean, they're just actually robbing the United States around things
And
for
you
their
know
friends.
what, Mary, people know that number 45 has got a great big summer retreat in Mar-a-Lago in Florida. And the taxpayers pay for every time he has a political event there. So $400,000, $600,000 for dinner on Tuesday, $600,000 for dinner on
And
Thursday.
they can't even feed their family.
And the taxpayers are paying for these events at the Trump Towers in New York. Every time there's a diplomatic meeting, the taxpayers have to foot the bill when the Japanese consulate comes and the Chinese consulate comes and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, the American people, and that's the point that D.L. Hughley was making, very interesting point. And he all over the radio,
I
all
know he
upset.
is.
And what he's saying is people are complicit by not speaking out. And that the lawyers are not able to go and visit their clients who are part of these 23,000 children locked up in these places. The lawyers can call them on the phone at a certain time of the day.
What?
And I only found that out yesterday and today. But they can't go there and visit them. And why not? These are private prisons, Marion, for children. And
That's
you
just
can't
like
make this stuff
it's
up.
just like their parents.
You
and
can't
see,
make this stuff
people
up.
don't understand
Private
that
prisons.
the prison system have been privatized a long time ago.
For these kids, though.
Now,
I ain't never
I'm
heard
saying
of that before.
they had also had looking at that and seeing how many more people they can get into those type of places.
Well, these are
And they don't
money-making
care.
activities.
They don't care about those babies, Maureen. You and I care, but they don't care about them.
Okay, and my question then at the end of the day, and again, I never heard no stuff like this. You got a lawyer, your lawyer doesn't have the right to visit you in your prison or in your holding ceremony. You're a minor, you're 16 years of age and under, down to 5 months, okay, 5 months to 16 years old. And the lawyer has to put in a request 2 weeks in advance.
Oh, girl,
and,
go please.
And then the holding facility will approve or disapprove your visit, and you see the children in a reception area, not where the kids are eating or where they sleeping or things like that. And you got a ton of people that are down there fighting, ton of people that are down there arguing and protesting and whatnot. But it's a shock to me. And I'm always naive about this kind of stuff, but it's a shock to me that people across this country are watching this on TV and not reacting. And the shock value is, I bet people don't know what to do. And see, that's the issue I think we're at today. There's so many horrific things happening. You had this guy from Turkey, Marion, that went to the Saudi Arabian consulate. He's a reporter, a journalist, and he walked in for the meeting, and that's the last time anybody saw him because they chopped him up and put his parts in a wood chipper. He's an American citizen. The girlfriend dropped him off. I'll be back to pick you up. She go back and he ain't there. What's going on? And then you find out later on what happened. And the president says, well, we're not going to fall out with nobody just because, a murder was committed.
Well, listen here. You know, when he said that, my brain started ticking and said, that's one of those things needs to go on what we're going to put out. And excuse me, and let folks know that we're not concerned about the president neither. We want him out of there. Well, because did you see him today?
He is making jokes about people toying in the election.
Yes.
Now, what I was really waiting to see, and I walked away at the G20 summit, which already people are saying they're not going to have it no more if he comes.
I don't blame him.
Sure. But you remember one of those years at the G8 summit, and they did the photo op at the end, and he shoved the guy from South America. I forgot what country, but he shoved the guy out the way so that he could be in the middle of the picture. We've got all of this evidence.
This man needs to be in prison.
Something wrong with this guy.
He needs to be in prison.
And the way but this thing with these children, Marion, and lawyers. Now, the ACLU is all on top of this.
They need to be.
And their court cases and all of that. And speaking of court cases, here we got the Supreme Court, 2 judgments yesterday. One of them is about the Republican Party drawing lines on the map that says these are Republican districts. And the Supreme Court said, you don't have the right to do that.
That's not your job.
And it's not our job to define that. So that's, the Republicans are going to be able to continue to draw those lines because of that position. Let's take this call. Caller, you on the air. Thank you for waiting, and thank you for calling Ask Welfare Rights.
I don't know why I can't get you on my Fire Stick. I had it on Fire Stick earlier, but happy Friday.
And happy Friday to you.
Yeah, I'm getting sick of these children, the way they putting them in the concentration camps. I'm getting sick of the debates. I'm getting sick of the distractions.
Yeah,
they talking about reparations, and we know who the reparations. We are the reparations. They're not going to give us ourselves back. Pharaoh's not going to let his people go. And I'm tired of listening to people ask the thieves to give back what they stole. They stole you, your mind, your money, your body. They still stealing your bodies, but your land, everything, your education resources, your housing, everything that it takes for you to live and survive, they getting double folds of it to feed their families and empires.
Well, caller, I never thought that in 2018, 2019, I would ever see or live through a circumstance where children were taken away from their parents. And if the parent court case or hearing didn't go right, they put the parent on a plane and sent them back to their country of origin or wherever.
The child
and the child is here. I think I'd ever seen nothing like that. That's stuff you see on TV.
Yeah, that's a horror flick in living colors and live, and I'm not understanding why there's nobody with any nuts or guts in position to do anything different. But it seems they too corrupt. That's why they ain't got no nuts or guts. They just
if you were human, if you had one bone in your body that's human and what have you, and care about children, you wouldn't be doing that.
Well, that's what D.L. Hughley is talking about. He's saying these people, they're not corrupt. He says they just don't care. It doesn't matter to them about children that look like these kids look. It just doesn't matter, you know?
No, it doesn't matter.
I tell you. Caller, are you going to be going to school over this summer, or are you waiting for the fall, or are you almost done?
I just moved, so I'm getting adjusted as far as, I got my file cabinet, I got my
Yeah,
printer,
talk to him.
I got my internet back, so I'm getting, conditioned and got to get the room organized. And
Okay.
so I can go back and, Lord help, I think I better get into financial literacy. And I'm thinking about geriatrics. Yep,
Okay. All right. Well, don't
yeah.
stay gone long now, because
You know it,
yeah,
I can't wait to get back.
yeah.
You're right.
There's a seat for you at WC3. So okay.
All right,
All
I
right.
love
Take
Thank you,
y'all.
care.
caller. Thank you for
Enjoy.
calling.
Okay.
All right. 868-0342-0351, 868-4336. So anyway, Marion, it's a great big hoopla going on about showing this picture. And I was trying to look at the debate for the last 2 days. I don't know if you got a chance to catch up with
Okay.
any of that.
Yeah, I've been watching all of
You
them.
know, and on the first day, I thought the first day of debate activities was quite energetic. I thought the second day, that was getting on my nerves
Yeah,
because
it
they were just
was.
hollering at
Until,
each other.
what's the young lady's name?
Kamala.
Was she
Kamala Harris, she said the people don't want a food fight. They want to know how they're going to put
put
food
food
on
on
the
the
table.
table.
I thought that was good.
And
But
what she got in, what's name behind? Oh,
this
Lord.
guy, Buttigieg, Pete Buttigieg, the mayor. All right, that's the guy from South Bend, Indiana, that's dealing with this case of a white police officer shooting a black guy. Now, I don't know if you've been able to keep up with the case. And he's been on TV trying
Several
to have
times.
some conversations about how that went. Caller, you've been very patient. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for calling Ask Welfare Rights. You're on the air. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Oh, he hung up. All right, so I've been watching the case and how he's managing. It's pretty interesting because what he says is, I don't know what to do. Says,
At
all
least
the
he
cause.
honest.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard that. So I don't know what to do. I want very much to fix this. I know how it is to be discriminated against, not on the basis of color, but on other things. But everything I've tried, everything we've tried, and across the nation, this is a problem because there is a spike in black people, Latino people, people of all different kinds of colors being targeted by police officers. And I don't know what to do about this. So I thought, that's refreshing for at least somebody who's the mayor saying, I don't know what to do. Alrighty, and he's now talking about getting the citizens of South Bend, Indiana, write down what you think. He's got something together where he says maybe everybody don't want to write stuff, so he got an 800 hotline. Call me and tell me what you think we can do. And I thought, gee, that's
He's a young man,
yeah,
too.
something to be said. And then the other one on the first day. Who else was on there on that first day? Elizabeth Warren. She's the one to beat, look like.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's for right now. And the president, I'm sure he going to come out with some of his Pocahontas jokes.
Did you see how he tried his best to attack the woman that said that he had raped her? And
He said she wasn't his type.
Now, and he went to laughing. I said, this
She
this
number
man,
17.
and
Yeah.
and I hope when he comes out, the attorneys have stuff ready. Soon as he ceased to be the president, and began to file not only lawsuits but began to file against some of it, make him show his income tax thing. Everything. Keep
Just
his butt
violating
busy
so
for
many
the
laws.
long. It
Just violating so many laws. What is it? The women's United States women's soccer team.
Did they win?
Yes, they did. Today they beat France.
I was wondering.
And I was looking at those French women, half dark-skinned black women from France, and some fairer-skinned women, and some look like white women. I'm saying it that way because in France you got all kind of miscegenation going on. But those girls in France can play some soccer. But today, they ran up against this American machine. And what was interesting there is I guess she's the captain of the team.
Yeah,
They don't call it
she's
that.
a coach.
It's the coach of the team. And she said,
And captain, yeah.
something about the Trump is going to invite him to the White House. And she said, I'm not going to that effing White House.
Yes, I was so proud when she said that.
And of course, Trump jumped, before you start running your mouth, you need to win. And she came back and said, I don't care nothing about what he says. Whether we win or lose, we ain't going there. I'm not going there. And why not? Because I don't support a person that does not support the goals, aspirations, and the democracy that I stand for. So
Yeah,
you ain't
she
got
was
to worry about me
really
coming.
good, really good.
Golden State Warriors received a message
And
after they lost.
Yes.
And the president said that the Golden State Warriors have disgraced America
Oh, gee.
by losing the National Basketball Association championship, and that mostly this is because of Steph Curry, and he's just a horrible person, and the country is just disgraced by losing to a lowly team like Toronto.
This man,
He just keep
he
mess
just
going. He just keep mess going.
Now, at times when they come on TV, I say I turned the knob. I said because this man is out of he acting like he crazy. He know what he's doing.
I don't think he crazy at all, you know?
I
don't believe it. Caller, you're on the air. Thank you for waiting, and thank you for calling Ask Welfare Rights.
Yes, good evening to everybody.
And good evening, sir.
I got two statements to make. One of them is, I wonder, what do you think about what is that new camera thing they got going on, getting ready to start in the city of Detroit with the police?
He's talking about the facial recognition technology. Yeah.
What is your views on that?
There's technology that's coming out day after day after day that is supposed to be to improve whatever a process is. And I have heard what the arguments are, and that is, the police might start profiling people and using that technology when it's not during an arrest and those kinds of things. And certainly we need some oversight, and we need community oversight with that kind of stuff. But caller, I think they use that at a lot of the casinos. As you're coming in, and they got those secret cameras in different places to do facial recognition to make certain you're not on a list that says you're not supposed to be in the casino. So I think Marion and I are going to be interested. What do you think about facial recognition technology?
I think it's a good idea if they're really, like you say, using it for the right purpose, not because somebody owed a traffic ticket for 3 years or something and using it as that. But if somebody, you're looking for, I think it's a good idea. I don't see no wrong. Like you say, in the casinos, which I go to, they already have that kind of stuff. People don't realize it and all like that. And one more thing I want to say, too.
Go ahead.
The 5-year-old baby that mother and the boyfriend was responsible for the death in a motel the other day.
He's talking about the little 5-year-old that the daddy brought to the daddy went. They was in a motel in Redford, and the daddy went to the office and said, "I need help because the baby's not breathing." And then the ambulance came, police came, and they took the baby, did an autopsy because the baby was dead, and they've determined. The mother was not there, but they've determined that the baby died from blunt force trauma.
Oh, geez.
And
So go ahead, caller. What are you thinking about that?
Also, it's just a shame that people misuse little children like that. And they also said, as you showed on TV, where I guess one of the children were testifying to something they didn't show their face, where the mother had beat the children and just misuse them. The father too.
Corporal punishment.
I mean, I don't have no sympathy for people that abuse our children or elderly people. I don't have no respect for any of them. I don't care who they are. They abuse our babies and our elderly people. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I need to call about. You know, I still can't see you on TV, so I just take chances calling in.
Okay, caller, stay tuned. We got some things
Oh,
being developed right now, so we working some things out. Okay.
oh yeah. Okay, thank you. Have a
All right.
nice
Thank you
Thank you
for
so
holiday.
calling.
very much, caller. You on the air. Thank you for waiting, and thank you for calling. Ask Welfare Rights.
People need to understand before they sign their rights and protection away to these so-called systematic agents and homeland securities that claim that they're coming to surveillance you for safety because it's already been analyzed that this surveillance can be totally disrupted because of the flaws. Once again, your community, your people will be the ones that will be the guinea pigs to the flaws that will continue to murder and to lock up innocent bodies because they said that the cameras work just fine. There's such things as flaws, and we're the ones that's going to fall when the flaws come to decide to make an arrest. That you see people in jail for 30, 40 years, and they did nothing, and they still don't want to set them free. Some of them, one of them, they still want to give them the death penalty, and DNA proved that he was innocent. So y'all can keep up and vote to give away your protection, so-called protection and rights, and you'll be the first one they slam in there talking about they recognize your face. There's Hollywood that can buy masses, body masses, face masses, and you'll be going down because that camera said it was you in town. But I'm
I
just
hear you
saying, be
calling.
careful about voting your right
Yeah.
to life and your safety and your protection because most of those systems are set up mainly to enslave and not save. Thank you for taking my call. Love y'all.
All right, dear. All right.
Thank you.
You know, they got those camera recognition devices already set up in certain places. And the most, probably the most obvious place, Marion, is at these casinos. And that's because they've got a list of folks that can't go in, people who have started a ruckus, started a fight, somebody thought they was cheating, something like that. Or mostly those folks, what's that thing called? Card counting, where you keep winning because you figured out
The
a
method.
process, the method on how to keep winning, and then they figure out that you figured something out, and then your name is on the list. Your gambling days are over. So so if you grow a mustache and a beard and all the rest of that kind of stuff, you still can't come up in here. But I think that there's a healthy suspicion about anything that says what we're going to do is use this facial recognition device so we can identify you, and I'm concerned about that as well. Uh, um, the guy in South Bend, the police officer that shot the unarmed black guy, had a shoulder camera on, and the camera was off. And the rules say that if you draw your gun, your camera, that's not a rule, but the technology says if you draw your gun, your camera automatically turns on. And that discussion came up with Mayor Pete. And apparently that technology is not attached to the cameras that are available right now. But there is a rule in South Bend that if you draw your gun, you must turn your camera on too. And he didn't.
And
So,
he knew that.
oh, sure he knew it.
He was very conscious of what he's
Yeah,
doing.
he knew it, and so all you got to go by is well, I guess that's what he thought. All you have to go by is what he said happened, the police officer, and the dead guy can't talk.
No.
But everybody got a cell phone now. So I'm sure, Michael Brown and Ferguson, all kind of cell phones and everything came out. But look at, that's one thing that Mayor Pete went down that list. There is something to be said about police officers and police brutality. Ron Scott worked for years on the Coalition Against Police Brutality. What's that guy's name? Butson and Nevers. And what's the fellow's name that they killed over there? Oh, I've forgotten his name now. On
Um,
pictures on the
I
wall.
said his name not but a week
Afro,
ago.
yeah, and so there's a history
Yeah.
of the police
And
violating
Neville's
rights.
and them.
Yeah, they
That
was
that wasn't the first time they had been harassing people over
years.
in that community where Howard King, all of them lived when they were children and what have you. There was a continuous a complaint thing about Neville's and them, and they let them walk.
All the time. And I remember Jen used to talk about the first time a white police officer had ever been indicted and finally found guilty of the death, illegal death of a person of color was Butts and Nevers. And that's after decades, decades of people falling to shotguns and boy, that I remember some of those cases in New York. Remember those cases in New York where those police officers sodomized the guy in the jail with a plunger and put the stick end of a plunger in this man's behind till slivers of wood broke off. And I remember that. And then when the police officers, when the trial came up, first thing they said was not guilty. What are you talking about? And then the first day that the trial showed up, that one cop said, everybody else let him go. I am guilty. But the history of that sort of behavior where police and law enforcement, Sandra Bland, the little boy, and the little 9-year-old is playing with toys, and Ayanna Johnson, all this kind of stuff. Caller, you on the air. We're down to our last 15 minutes, and caller, you on the air. Go.
Good evening.
And good evening. Speak up loud, Junior. We need a little bit more volume.
Okay, good evening.
And good evening.
Well, hello, Mrs. Kramer. How are you today?
Yeah, hello, Miss Kramer. How are you?
Oh, I'm better, much better today.
Okay, Maureen, thank you for being at the hospital making her eat, okay?
Yes.
Making
okay.
me eat.
Yeah, I was feeding her. Okay.
She wasn't feeding me. She
I was.
wanted me to eat some
Broth.
yeah, and it looked like
Told you it was
terrible.
squash.
It was terrible.
It was Jello. Jello's always good. Go ahead, caller.
Okay, Mrs. Kramer, I'm the young lady that called last week and told you about I was got my brother's government book.
Yes, I remember.
Okay, now what I'm going to ask your audience is to do is that if they need anything, I talked to Tawana yesterday.
Okay.
At the
You talking about talk to Tawana down at the office?
Yes,
Okay.
I know Tawana very personally.
Okay.
Okay, so if any, and then I know Miss Kramer, you told me when I call, I always, talk to Sylvia. Sylvia wasn't there, so Tawana was going to give the message to Sylvia. So if anybody need anything, as far as like any work did on their homes, anything pertaining to trying to find out about land that their family members had, and they think that, somebody took it. Oh, my God, I found out so much information. It is ridiculous.
Okay, now, I remember in years past they used to have books that would provide information on where people could call to get repairs and roofs and things like that. I'm going to ask you, matter of fact, I'm going to give you a homework assignment. When you talk to Tawana again, because Sylvia's in and out of town.
Yeah.
You talk to Tawana again, outline 2, 3, 4 of those programs that you think are worthy and they're still working and they're interesting, and call Tawana and give her the name of the program and the contact number, at least 2 or 3 of them.
Miss
For the
Taylor,
roof.
not to cut you off. Guess what? I got 4 of them, but I'm waiting on them to call me back to let me know if they got money.
Very good, very good. We thinking the same thing.
So I told you I'm on my game. So I just want to let the audience know, if you need windows, roofing, furnace, doors,
Okay.
please do not hesitate to call them, because I'm going to be giving the information out, because a lot of the Fridays I probably would not be able to call in. But at least there, you all have the information down there.
Oh, that'll work,
That's
caller.
fine.
Thank you so very much. And don't forget, anything you find that you think is valuable and is correct, call Tawana Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of next week.
Oh, okay.
Monday,
All right,
Tuesday,
then.
or Wednesday.
I would definitely give that. Oh, you are. You gonna be surprised the places that we didn't even know.
Caller, very good. You got to say goodbye because the lines are lit up.
Okay, you all have a wonderful day, and Miss Kramer, take care of your health. Okay.
I am.
All right, very good. Thank you so much.
Okay, love you guys. Bye bye.
All right,
you
thank
too.
you very much. Caller, thank you for waiting. And you're on Welfare Rights. Thank you very much.
This is Ruby calling from Highland Park.
Who?
Okay, from Highland Park. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank you ladies for doing a wonderful job. And also I want to let you know that years ago when I didn't have any insurance, I found out it's called Hill Burton. And it's for anybody. Hill Burton.
Hill Burton.
Hill Burton.
Is Hill Burton still in existence?
Yes, ma'am.
Really?
Okay.
Yes.
Very
I
good.
got hurt at Little Rock, Reverend Jim Holly Church. And he gave me money to pay the bill, but I didn't have a bill. Because I said, Hill Burton.
Okay. All right, caller. That's important to know. Thank you for
Yes,
sharing
thank
that.
you.
Yes, ma'am. Hill Burton.
Can you
They
call
came in
into the
police
office and
was
give
down
the phone number of
street
Hill
for
Burton and
Hill.
where it's located?
Okay, Marion is asking you to call Welfare Rights next week and tell them that so they can write that down.
Okay, I sure will.
And
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you all.
All right, now, thank you, caller.
Hello?
All righty, caller, you're on the air. We're down to a few more minutes, and then Marion has something to say. You're on the air, caller. Go.
Oh, okay. Happy Friday to both of you.
And
Thank
happy
you.
Friday to you, Miss Theo.
I'm the Amen Corner. I enjoy your show.
And thank you.
Thank you, and we enjoy you.
Oh, thank you so much. The young lady who was giving the insurance company, is that for car insurance or homeowners insurance, do you know?
I don't know yet, and she's going to call us at Welfare
Oh,
Rights to
okay.
give us
Yeah.
some more information.
And that's definitely important to know. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, I was glad to have an opportunity yesterday, the day before, to watch the debates on TV. That helps us to
Okay,
kinda
and
narrow down.
what stood out to you? Anything?
Well, I guess one thing that stood out was the way that the young lady from California,
Oh, my God, yes.
yeah.
You talking about Kamala?
Down Joe
Yeah.
Biden. Mhm.
Kamala Harris.
Yes,
She
yes.
was she was good.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
The day before, well, I guess it wasn't a whole lot of competition the day before, so that made Elizabeth Warren, look better on that
Yeah.
day.
Elizabeth Warren already has a plan and a program for everything.
Mhm.
She's been writing homework out for a long time, and she got a book from A to Z already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing more and more from her, and of course they will be here in the city the last 2 days of July.
30 and 31 of
Oh, yeah.
July at the Fox
Yes.
Theater.
At the Fox Theater. Right, that's where they were before.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we got a notice, Marion, you didn't see that, from our church, Central, right across the street from the Fox, that every parking space in our parking lot has been rented by the Democratic Party, and they've already paid for it in advance. Every parking space.
That is wonderful.
See? So
That's absolutely wonderful. Yeah. 'Cause
Yep.
I remember the time when somebody was trying to prevent you all from renting it when Clark Park was in business. I know you remember that.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
I said church was there before the man was born, and he trying to stop somebody.
Trying to stop somebody.
Uh-huh.
Yep,
What
you're
is-
right.
Yeah, supporting the church. How am I? Anyway, that is excellent news. Excellent news. Well, I'm gonna hold you because I know Miriam has to make her statement, but I was glad to have a chance to call in and talk to you.
Oh,
Thank
as
you.
always, and I got some conversation I'm going to carry on with you this weekend off air, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, dear, I'll be in
waiting.
touch.
Okay.
And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All righty. All right, Marion.
A
we're
real
down
couple
to
of
about
things.
5 minutes. Go ahead, take your time.
We
and don't be starting in the middle of the conversation. Start at the front part.
take
so
care
we
of your
can hear it
business
all.
over there.
Go ahead.
Stay over there. I had to go to the hospital last week, and we went down to what was the name of the
Henry Ford.
Henry Ford, and I was sitting there with other folks for over 3 hours before and had not been triaged, Maureen, nothing. And I almost got up. I started to do some advocacy work because one lady was just in outright pain, terrible pain. And they were not trying to do nothing for the lady. Look, we're human beings, Maureen. Henry Ford is
And
just
you're
like...
talking about Henry Ford Hospital on the boulevard.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. And you remember the days that we were having problems with, what's the name of the other hospital?
DMC.
Yeah, DMC at one time. It was terrible. You didn't want to take nobody into that. And that's how Henry Ford is now. They need to reorganize everything. They putting all the money in the heart thing across, building across the street.
And the cancer research building.
And yes. And yet and still, when you go down there into the emergency room, people are suffering. They're in the hallways and everything. My daughter Jackie came in and said, "Come on, Mama, we're taking you out to Bloomfield." And look.
And talk about the distinction. This is not because black folks are going to the boulevard.
No,
We're
because you
talking
had every
about
nationality.
Every nationality.
You could imagine.
It's packed.
Uh-huh.
And Henry Ford Hospital is a level 1 trauma center.
Yes, it is.
But when you go out to West Bloomfield, there are fewer people and they have resources.
Listen.
And that's the difference. The folk with the money are over there on Maple Road.
Listen,
So go ahead,
when you
tell the
go
story.
there, I don't care who you are, they greet you at the door to see if you need
Triage.
no, you see if you need
A wheelchair.
a wheelchair or what have you, and you go right in, and the guard is so inviting, and the guards down there usually
down the boulevard?
on the boulevard are usually pretty nice too, but Maureen, within an hour and a half of walking in there, and the nurses were so nice, they were so mad at the boulevard because they kept putting them on hold. And then one of the nurses said, "Go on and write Miss Kramer up." Yeah. And within
It's
an
an
hour and a
organizing
half, I had
problem.
been
You was in your room.
I had gone to triage. I had been examined by a doctor, and they ended up telling me that I was going to have to stay there all night long, until
Finish
Monday.
those tests.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
finish the tests and what have you. But I tell you, they were, the nurses and all were really nice and trying to make you comfortable and what have you. But I am glad I went out there. But at the same time, I'm happy that my doctor, after she looked at those tests down at Henry Ford Harbor Town, she called my daughter and said, "Look, get your mother down to the hospital quickly because her blood is low." It was, by the time I got out there, it's even lower, but they went to work I can't, you were there, Maureen, twice. I mean, how did they treat you?
Well, see, that's the difference. When you go to a hospital in Detroit with 700,000 or 800,000 people,
That's
and a
right.
significant number of folks have no or under utilized health care, then you have to keep a full
No cars.
staff. And then if you're laying off people at the hospitals downtown Detroit and in that area, and you cutting back on staff, then that becomes a problem.
Yes, it's a problem.
And that's how you end up staying in the emergency area for 3 and 4 hours because
It's
they
criminal.
can't get to you, and that's not right. And when I stand in the line at Myers, and people are complaining, she sure is slow, and they're talking about the cashier. And I look, and 3, 4 lines are dedicated to where there are human beings to carry you through your line. 5 or 6 lines over here have the automatic tellers
Yeah.
where you can run your things through by yourself. And it's clear to me, Marion, that they want you to go over here where you
Yes,
could
that's
self
where they
pay
want-
for your stuff.
uh-huh.
And it's the same thing at the hospital.
And
After I realized that you had been down there for so long, there was no choice. You had to leave. But look at the opportunity. We got children and welfare rights. We got forces we can send down there to the hospital and
And
carry
start-
you someplace else. The
Mhm.
rest of the folks ain't got no ride.
None.
One of the teachers at my school was talking about a 6-pack of water he was getting. And at the CVS store he went to, the water was $2.50 higher than at Costco's. And he wanted to know from the folks at the CVS, why is it so much higher? And the cashier told him the people that shop and get water and stuff like this around here, they don't have cars. So we can sell this stuff at whatever price we want.
That's
Because
a
they
shame.
don't have any other options.
That's criminal.
It is, and that's the way people think that's normal behavior. That's the way they should act. All right, Marion, you have 30 seconds to say goodbye.
Again, I'm happy to be back, and should you be having some problems trying to survive out here, Welfare Rights is where you want to be. Come and join. Our doors are open.
And you can call Welfare Rights at 313-964-0618, 964-0618. Here's an open message to our Wayne County Treasurer, Eric Sabri. We haven't forgotten you. We've been in the hospital. We've been in the triage. We've been giving graduation speeches. We've been attending graduations. On the 19th, when we were trying to get to where you were, we were scattered all over the state. So we'll be ready for the next one unless they've decided to dismiss the case. So, Lord willing, creek don't rise. The changes are coming. We'll see you in a few days, at least by next Friday. Goodbye.